Hello, my name is Skully. I'm a friend of Mr. Emling's. Prior to meeting Mr. Emling, I served as an anatomy assistant in a biomechanics class. Because my life has revolved around biomechanics, pun intended, he's asked me to elaborate on angular displacement and angular velocity. I gladly accepted. You may be asking why would I commit to this? Well, you see, mathematics and Mr. Emling do not mix. It would be like eating cabbage with chocolate pudding. Maybe you better understand this analogy. When it comes to math, Brian is not the brightest Crayola in the box. Better? Enough small talk. Let's proceed with the lesson. First, we must establish what angular displacement and angular velocity are. Angular displacement, expressed by the theta symbol, or how I remember, a potato with a line through it, is defined as vector quantity representing the change in angular position of an object. Angular velocity, expressed by the omega symbol, or two potatoes side by side, is defined as vector quantity representing the rate of change of angular displacement. As a student, you must have a firm grasp of angular displacement to understand angular velocity. With that said, this method to show you the relationship was done using the rotation of my lower leg during the mid-swing phase of the gait cycle. The mid-swing phase was chosen in order to show the importance of external forces, more specifically gravity, which is what initiates the movement of the leg into the sequential heel strike occurring in the terminal stance of phase of gait. The definition on the previous slide is a little much, and can be more easily described as the difference between two measured angles. In respect to your studies of orthotics and prosthetics, the angles you see may be termed relative angles or joint angles, as they indicate an angle between two movable segments. The angles were measured using a goniometer. Brian made a feeble yet creative attempt to use black duct tape to indicate muscles and gray duct tape to indicate tendons. This was also done to hold the leg in the mid-swing phase, allowing the lower leg to rotate about the axis. An initial angle of 90 degrees was measured. My foot was released from the initial position. Upon rest, as you can see in the lower photo, the final angle was measured equaling 147 degrees. Now, the final angle, which is not clinically relevant for my actual range of motion, was selected because Brian was curious to know the velocity of the foot at this point. But this is getting a few steps ahead. Pun intended. So let's take a step back. The difference between the final angle, 147 degrees, and the initial angle, 90 degrees, is 57 degrees. This represents the angular displacement. So, why do you need to know this? Well, angular displacement quantifies the patient's range of motion. It's just as important as the patient's height and weight. As previously stated, the method used does not represent my complete range of motion. Thank goodness. It is essential to measure angular displacement in an unaffected limb, as this number is relevant to the success of treatment in the pathologically affected limb. In addition to range of motion, angular displacement is one of the measurements taken in spinal pathologies. The following 3 slides are more specific examples. Range of motion. Degree of pathological plantar flexion as seen in muscular dystrophy. Sorry, that word is confusing. When you have no muscles! Anyway. Degree of curve in scoliosis patients and other pathologies affecting curvature of the spine, such as Sherman's kyphosis and torticollis. Sherman's wife Makes the best spätzle you've ever had. Now we're moving into some fun stuff, pun intended. Quite simply, angular velocity is how quickly an object rotating about an axis goes from one point to another. As a memory aid, picture the second hand on a clock rotating about its axis in one complete rotation, which is 60 seconds. It will go 360 degrees. By dividing 360 degrees by 60 seconds, we find that for every second the hand moves 6 degrees about its axis. This is an easy way to remember angular velocity, and it helps to establish a baseline of how quickly an object is rotating. For instance, in Brian's example, we calculated that my leg rotated 139 degrees in 1 second, compared to the second hand of a clock moving 6 degrees in 1 second. My leg is moving much faster. The following 2 slides will indicate how the data for time and angular displacement were collected. These are the 2 variables required to calculate angular velocity. Brian calculated the time from the initial angle to the time the foot kicked over the bottle. This was done 30 times, increasing accuracy and the ability to calculate standard deviation accompanied by percentage error. Angular displacement was found by measuring initial and final angles. You must have a clear understanding of how angular velocity as the effect it has on the body is very important. A velocity imbalance of the lower limbs during swing phase could have detrimental effects on the patient. Angular velocity is just as important in upper extremity prosthetics, especially in tasks that require fine motor skills. Components that offer assistance or resistance to movement, as seen in this AFO, will demand a thorough grasp of angular displacement. Velocities that are too fast or too slow cause a variety of complications, including balance and walking speed.
Hey, Skully!
Hi, Brian!
Hi! How are you?
Just fine, how are you?
Good, good. I had a pretty good day. Did you get the presentation done?
But of course.
Well, you've got that grin on your face like you didn't, or you added...
No, I did. I can't grin, Brian. I have no muscles.
I'm sorry, I did. I forgot that
I forgive you.
I would do that. Did you do any of those puns that you like to do? You did, didn't you?
I don't have a brain. I don't know anything. I don't know what puns are.
Okay, you just told all the students that you were an assistant and that you would be teaching them, so don't tell them that you don't have a brain. And I can tell right now, so you're lying through your teeth that you did do the puns.
Everything I do happens through my teeth because I am missing so many.
You always have to flip it on me, don't you?
Yes.